Tulsi Gabbard is suing Google for $50 million over election meddling. I love this woman. Tulsi Gabbard is fighting back. This story both angers me and excites me at the same time. This is exactly what I've been talking about whenever I say these big companies have too much power. Google shut down the advertising account of Tulsi Gabbard just after the first debate, when she was the most searched for candidate. That means when you search for her name, you didn't see her website up top on Google, among other things. But I gotta say, I'm furious because you see it happen to conservatives. Of course, they still consider Tulsi to be conservative, I guess for whatever reason, the left does. But now it's starting to encroach on my territory. And it's going to get everyone else on the left unless we do something about it. Now, I don't know what kind of regulation that needs to be. Most people are in favor of some kind of regulation, but Tulsi is not taking this sitting down. She is a strong individual, and that's why I think she'd make a great commander-in-chief. She's a major in the National Guard, and she's given Google the big FU, fighting back $50 million. Let's read this story from the New York Times. Tulsi Gabbard, Democratic presidential candidate, sues Google. They say the long-shot presidential candidate from Hawaii said in a federal lawsuit that Google infringed on her free speech when it briefly suspended her campaign's advertising account after the first Democratic debate in June, when she was the most searched for. They've effectively inhibited the ability for people to learn about her, and you wonder why she's not doing so well in the polls when she's got this kind of weight against her, Google. Before we read on, make sure you go to timcast.com/donate if you want to support my work. There's a PayPal option, a crypto option, a physical address. But of course, and I mean this one, you better share this video. I'm shocked, I'm impressed, I'm angered. But look, I'm talking about Google here. Google has deranked independent political commentary. So there's a bit of a catharsis in seeing her fight back, because there are so many of us on Google that know there's no other game in town. I'm not going to act like Google has to be, propping up my videos or anything like that. But we see the bias. We know it's real, and Tulsi Gabbard is taking the fight to the courts. So you better damn well believe they're not going to appreciate this video. Let's read on. They say, the lawsuit filed on Thursday in federal court in Los Angeles is believed to be the first time a presidential candidate has sued a major technology firm. In a twist that reflects Mrs. Gabbard's unorthodox political views, the claim that her speech was stifled by Google is similar to complaints made over the last year in Republican circles. Few, if any, Democrats have raised similar concerns. Makes you think, doesn't it? Pretty weird, isn't it? I want to stress this point. The people on the left either aren't speaking up against the bias and the censorship because they're benefiting from it, or because they are being led by the Pied Piper of the lying media that there's nothing going on, nothing to see here. Let me just stress, Gizmodo broke the story as far as I know in 2016 that these firms were biased against conservatives. Literally saying bias. I know you've heard me say it a lot, but I want to make sure it's clear in this video for this context. Now, for some reason, these same outlets are saying, there's just no evidence. It was your evidence, dude. We know it's happening. So when these tech firms are biased against conservatives, for the most part, the left isn't going to say anything because they're reaping the rewards. At the same time, they're saying, but I'm a private business. Why is the left defending massive corporations that are meddling in our elections? I haven't the faintest. Well, I can assume it's because they're the ones benefiting from it. But Tulsi Gabbard is the anti-war left, and I've stressed this point numerous times. Anti-war leftists get the brunt of this too. It is the creepiest thing. In the James O'Keefe Pinterest story, what did we see? The anti-media was also blocked, same as live action. For some reason, they banned anti-war content. Don't ask me why, but that's creepy. Let's read on. They say big tech companies like Google are getting increasing scrutiny by lawmakers and regulators around the world for a wide variety of issues, including their influence on political debate, their handling of consumer data, and the aggressive way they compete with smaller companies. A day before the Gabbard lawsuit was filed, Facebook said the FTC had opened a formal antitrust investigation into its business practices. Earlier in the day, the FTC announced that Facebook was fined a record $5 billion for deceiving users about their ability to control the privacy on their personal data. Tulsi Now Inc., the campaign committee for Ms. Gabbard, said Google suspended the campaign's advertising account for 6 hours on June 27th and 28th, obstructing its ability to raise money and spread their message to potential voters. And this is the key point. After the first Democratic debate, Ms. Gabbard was briefly the most searched for candidate on Google. Her campaign wanted to capitalize on the attention she was receiving by buying ads that would have placed its website at the top of its search results for her name. The lawsuit also said the Gabbard campaign believed its emails were being placed in spam folders on Gmail at a disproportionately high rate when compared with emails from other Democratic candidates. Google, what was the, I could be wrong, but I believe Google employees disproportionately supported Hillary Clinton in 2016. Let's just say something real quick. That may just be support for Democrats in general. But Tulsi Gabbard stepped down from the DNC as an FU to the Democrats when they stole it from Bernie, because she wanted to support Bernie, period. That's principle. You don't got to like either of their policies to know someone's got integrity here, and it's not Google, it's Tulsi. Here's a quote. Google's arbitrary and capricious treatment of Gabbard's campaign should raise concerns for policymakers everywhere about the company's ability to use its dominance to impact political discourse in a way that interferes with the upcoming 2020 presidential election, the lawsuit said. Ms. Gabbard and her campaign are seeking an injunction against Google from further meddling in the election, and New York Times' phrasing, and damages of at least $50 million. And boy, I hope you get it. Let me just flip Lindsey Graham's statement on this one. Tulsi Gabbard is facing against the powers that be, hoping to get some power, and boy, I hope she gets it. You know the Lindsey Graham thing where he said, you guys want power and I hope you don't get it? Well, in this instance, I hope Tulsi gets every penny and more. Google can afford it. Google declined to immediately comment on the lawsuit. No other campaigns have publicly claimed that Google has suspended their advertising accounts. Interest in Ms. Gabbard, who has served 4 terms in the House and is an Army National Guard veteran and major, mind you, New York Times, spiked after the debate. I should have done this in the beginning, but full disclosure, I've donated to Tulsi, okay? I've supported her. I think she's fantastic. Let's read on. She entered the presidential debate as a relative unknown and is still polling at less than 1%, according to the New York Times polling averages. But her appeal has crossed traditional party lines. She has drawn support from both the right and the left because of a staunch anti-war message. She has also received favorable coverage from influential conservative news media like Drudge Report, Fox News, and Breitbart, because maybe, just maybe, she's a common sense candidate who, while she may have left-wing policy positions that the right doesn't like, they respect her integrity, her anti-war message, and they respect her defending free speech, calling out the censorship, and now challenging Google. Let me tell you what some of the most important issues to me are. Anti-death penalty, 100% more than anything else. Yes, I'm going to do a segment on Bill Barr and the death penalty next. Anti-war, in line because of the death penalty. Free speech, opposing big tech monopolies. Those are bipartisan issues. Conservatives are on board with that, full stop, and Tulsi Gabbard is championing that. Let me just also add, Tulsi has spoken out against private prisons. I am completely in agreement with her on this issue. Although we disagree on like the minimum wage stuff, I gotta say, I don't vote based on who I think should, I don't vote against people. I'm not gonna vote for the lesser of two evils. I'm not gonna vote for some Democrat because they might beat Trump. I'm gonna vote on principle. And Tulsi Gabbard most aligns with my values. Even if I disagree with her on some things, there are more things I agree with her on than basically any other candidate. And I gotta say, with her stepping up now and giving Google the finger, oh man, do I like Tulsi Gabbard. Finally, someone fighting back. And I can say this to Trump's credit too. A lot of people support him for fighting back against the PC outrage mob. And I can respect that. Tulsi Gabbard, while not so, hasn't been as vocal as, say, Trump has, she has denounced divisive identity politics. Although she's not perfect. I know. She's for reparations, and even her own base has criticized her for that. But she has absolutely defended free speech numerous times. I love it. They say, talking about favorable coverage, moving on, Ms. Gabbard's campaign is historic even in a race with many potential firsts. She was elected to the Hawaii House of Representatives when she was 21, becoming the youngest woman to join a United States state legislature. When she was elected as a representative for Hawaii in 2012, she was the first Samoan American and first Hindu member of Congress. They do say that her views are unusual, and this is old news and this is not fair. They say she had a history of making anti-gay statements and worked for an anti-gay advocacy group, though she apologized. Yeah, Hillary Clinton and Obama both opposed gay marriage too. It's like they always bring us up to smear Tulsi. And she has tapped into increasingly bipartisan passion. Wariness of big tech. Yes. Yes, please. Respect to Elizabeth Warren on this issue as well. I'm not a big fan of Warren, but you get credit when you do the right thing. Google's discriminatory actions against my campaign are reflective of how dangerous their complete dominance over internet search is, and how increasing dominance of big tech companies over our public discourse threatens our core American values. This is a threat to free speech, fair elections, and to our democracy, and I intend to fight back on behalf of all Americans. This is what I've been saying for so long. Dare I say it, the only real threat to Donald Trump is Tulsi Gabbard. Of course, I don't think she can beat him, but let's be real. She has conservatives saying, you know what, all other issues aside, the anti-war message is very, very important. And Trump hasn't been perfect, though he's got some good things behind him with the anti-war stuff. I can give him credit for Iran and North Korea, not for some other things, but credit where it's due. Tulsi Gabbard might be the only real, in my opinion, challenge to Trump, but they'll never give it to her. The media hates her. They smear her all day and night. It'll never, but that would be, I gotta say this, look, outside of policy that I agree with, I've gone through her page, I've donated to her. You can tell she has strength behind her when she speaks. She is presidential. Okay, she served in the National Guard. She is a major. She has experience. She has my respect. I think we can. Yeah. They go on to start rehashing, other stuff with Ted Cruz, and we have a quote here. What is this? The campaign said it opened the Google advertising account in February and has bought ads. Blah blah blah. Yada yada yada. Quote: To this day, Google has not provided a straight answer, let alone a credible one, as to why Tulsi's political speech was silenced when millions of people wanted to hear from her. I just want to make sure I get to the meat and potatoes here. But I think you get it. You guys know that I'm a big fan of Tulsi. There have been people who are, it's really funny when they're like, why would the right support Tulsi at all? And I'm like, well, for one, because she's principled and honest and she served in the armed forces. Those things show real integrity. It's like they think conservatives are all just evil demons who don't understand that you can be a good person and disagree politically. And I think that's the perfect example. That right now, whatever's going on, the center and the right, for the most part, are I disagree with you, but I do think you're a good person, right? There could be a progressive YouTuber where it's we disagree, but I think they're okay people. Tulsi Gabbard, just like that. Not to mention anti-war. That's huge. That's bipartisan. I'm going to leave it here. I am excited about this. I want to see Tulsi win $50 million.